All right, back again with another review, and today we're going to talk about and review The Searchers with John Wayne. The plot, real quick. So we have John Wayne in the film, who's Ethan Edwards. He's an ex-soldier from the Indian War. He finds his family has been massacred, and his niece is captured by the Comanches. He vows to bring her back and kill every one of the Indians who's responsible. And after a few years of searching, she is found, only to realize that she has become one of them. So that is the plot to the film. Let's get to the review. Now, the film here is directed by John Ford. And John Ford directed Stagecoach from 1939. He also directed The Quiet Man, The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance, which is a film that I've heard about but haven't seen. In the cast here, you have John Wayne in the film. He's our main character, Ethan Edwards. You have the character of Martin, who is played by Jeffrey Hunter. You have the captain in the film, who's played by Ward Bond. You have the niece, who is played by Natalie Wood. They have the character of Scar, who is the leader of the Comanches. He is played by Henry Brandon. And you got some other supporting characters here in the cast. Like the character of Charlie, who is played by Ken Curtis, and much more. And when it comes to John Wayne, there's not too many John Wayne films that I have seen. I've seen a little bit of the original True Grit, but I haven't seen the entire thing. I do have it on Blu-ray. I have the original True Grit on Blu-ray, and I have the film Rio Bravo on Blu-ray. And this is, if you want to say, kind of the first film that I've seen with John Wayne all the way through. And yes, I mean, again, the cast here is good. I have no complaints about, maybe there's one character which I'll talk about here in a little bit. But I do like the cast. And, John Ford, definitely brings some really, in regards to the geography of the movie, and that's kind of getting into what I liked about the film here. John Ford definitely has an eye for filmmaking, and people know the name John Ford. But getting to my notes here, but getting to what I liked about the film here, it's beautifully filmed. Especially the opening shot is iconic. Showcasing this beautiful landscape, and I believe it's Arizona. I believe the film was shot in Arizona, Monument Valley, and some parts of Colorado, which you would see later on in the film. So, there's a lot of beautiful, geography on display here. John Wayne's performance, John Wayne knows how to command the screen. And John Wayne as an actor, I don't know if I would call him, for me, a favorite, but he carries a presence and, knows how to convey the weight of the story. And he delivers some great character moments here in the film. Jeffrey Hunter, who's the character of Martin, who is with, John Wayne on this journey. He does a fine job. The villain Scar, played by Henry Brandon, he does a good job. Natalie Wood is good. Maybe I wish that, looking back, she had a little bit more to do. Maybe a little bit, a little bit more screen time, perhaps. And the score by Max Steiner. I like the score to the film. Now, before I get into some of the issues that I have here with this film, I want to mention real quick, what I'm about to talk about here. This is not in any way, shape, or form going to deter me from watching, other John Wayne movies, whether it be True Grit, the original, or Rio Bravo, or, other movies he's done. So I just want to mention that. And that goes for not only John Wayne, but other movies, from the past and of this era. So, again, I know a lot of people out there consider this a masterpiece or, a flawless movie. But for me personally, I have some problems with the film. Starting off with the pacing. It's a 2-hour film, and I really felt the pacing here. The first time I tried watching it, I could not get into it. And I'm like, well, let me come back another day and watch it all the way through. And for me, where it suffers is in the second act, and I think the second act for me drags a little bit. And I do think the biggest thing here for me is the pacing. That's for me the number one issue that I have. Some of the other supporting characters here, like the character of Mose, I found annoying, and it's like there's one moment in the film that is serious, and Mose, the character, is doing a dance, and later on in the film, he's asking for a rocking chair, and I don't know what they were going for here, because here you have a serious story, and you have this kind of comic relief character. I wasn't a fan of that. And then later on in the film, you have a little bit of a romance subplot with the Charlie character, and this Charlie character has been courting the love interest or of Martin. Martin has a love interest in the film, and this guitar player Charlie has been falling in love with this girl. And I didn't really care for the subplot. I really didn't care for the romance between Charlie and this girl. And then later on in the film, at the end of the film, the third act, there's a wedding. You have a wedding between Charlie and the girl, and Martin shows up, and they get into a fight over this girl, and it just takes me out of the movie. I mean, it just wasn't really needed. And then at the very end of the film, John Wayne's character change, because there's a scene that happens earlier where John Wayne sees the girl. He wants to kill her because, she is part of the Comanches. And it goes from John Wayne wanting to kill, Natalie Wood because she's Comanche, to the end where he has a change of heart at the last minute and saves her. Which is a nice moment, but it's like, I don't know, it just, is it all believable where, earlier in the film, John Wayne pulled a gun on Natalie Wood and was adamant, and he wanted to kill her for being, part of the tribe. And then at the very end, he has a change of heart. And I don't know, just, that came off a little bit weird to me. But yeah, so those are some of the, negatives that I have here with the film. So, with all that being said, talking about the positives here, the negatives, let me get to my final thoughts on The Searchers. And overall, The Searchers, John Wayne brings presence here, and it's beautifully filmed. Wonderful geography on display here, and direction. The score by Max Steiner is good, but the pacing is felt here, and the film didn't really need a romance subplot. It was just okay for me. And from 1 to 10, I'm going to give The Searchers here a 6 out of 10. So, but that's my review of The Searchers. Thank you for watching, and have a good day.